Hello, and welcome to Barber Piano Service in Colorado Springs. My name is Dick Barber, and I am a registered piano technician with the Piano Technicians Guild. I'm also a member of the Master Piano Technicians of America and a graduate of the Randy Potter School of Piano Technology. I'd like to talk with you for just a few minutes about the importance of having your piano regularly serviced. The first thing we think about when we talk about servicing a piano, the first thing that comes to most people's mind is tuning of a piano. Probably because that's the thing that is done the most often. Pianos go out of tune pretty easily and pretty regularly and need to be tuned about every 6 months. Your piano, in all likelihood, was made by a manufacturer that recommends that its piano be tuned at least 2 times a year. Right off the top of my head, I can't think of a piano manufacturer that would recommend any less than that number of times per year. Some actually recommend 3 or 4 times, and more than just 2 or 3 recommend 3 or 4 times in the first year especially. Piano tuners know, or rather piano manufacturers know how important it is to the sound of a piano to be tuned on a regular basis. And I think they also are thinking in terms of the wear and tear on a piano that is caused by the piano being allowed to go out of tune for long periods of time and then having to be brought back into tune, this kind of fracturing of the piano's stability. A piano is not going to be as stable as far as tuning goes if it's tuned infrequently and with radical pitch raises or radical pitch lowering. The second thing that we generally think about, or at least the piano technicians think about, is the idea of regulating of a piano. Maybe we can have the piano, or rather the camera, go down to the action model that I have set up here. This is an action model that represents 3 out of 88 keys on your piano. It's even got pedals. And all of the parts that you see, right from the very end of the key up to the back end of the key to what we call the capstan, and then the whippen, and then up to the jack, up to the hammer butt, and so on up to the hammer, all of these things need to work in perfect coordination with one another in order for your piano to work well. If they're not working in perfect coordination with one another, you're going to strike a key and it'll feel one way, and then you might strike the key next to it and it'll feel another way. You might strike both keys at the same volume and yet you get a different, rather not at the same volume but the same force, and you get a different volume. Now there are other things that play into this, but one of the major factors in your piano having a response that is consistent with between the keys is regulation. Now most people don't think about this because regulation can cost a little money. It can be anywhere from up to 10 to 15 hours depending on the kind of piano you have. Many times it can take less than that. Depends on how out of regulation it is. Depends on the quality of your instrument. Depends on how well it was put together. But it can take quite a few hours, and then you multiply that by the amount that the technician charges per hour, and it comes to several $100s at least. But it's well worth having it if you want your piano to work well. Regulation doesn't have to happen all the time. It's not a yearly or every 6-month thing. It's after several years have passed that you should have your piano regulated, and you can talk to your piano technician about that. One thing that I do to try to help things along so that people don't have to have a regulation quite so often is to tweak the regulation from time to time. Almost every time I tune a piano, I do some regulation on it. Come to a note, I play the note, and it just doesn't feel right, or the response isn't right, the sound isn't right, and I take a look at it with my flashlight and I try things and I make adjustments until that note is playing better. It might not be playing as well as it would if I did a regular full regulation, but it'll play better for the time being. Now, let's go on to the third element of piano care and service, and that's the area of repairs. Now, everybody knows pianos need repairing. I get people that call me all the time and say, I've got a sticking note, can you repair that? And of course, it's hard to say what it is. In most cases, I certainly would be able to repair it, but the sticking note is something that people use for probably 100 different problems that could be going wrong with any particular key. So we have to look at it and see what the problem is. Sometimes it doesn't need to be repaired, it just needs to be regulated. But let's just look again at this action model. Again, looking at all the parts, you see there are lots of things that can be broken, lots of things that can wear out. Going back here to the jack and the jack flange beneath it, which is a kind of hinge, which is glued to this piece down here called whipping. Frequently in older pianos, I'll get a call that a note isn't working correctly, and when I go to examine things, I find that this jack has come loose, the flange has come loose from the whipping because it's come unglued. And so I have to take that out of there and put some glue on and put it back in and let it sit for a while with a fast drying glue so that I can go back to tuning. And that's a major repair that I have. Not a major in the sense it takes a lot of time, but it's major in the sense that I get a lot of those. Today I fixed 2 broken keys on the piano I was tuning, broken up here by what we call the key button, and I had to remove some stuff and then put some glue on and re-glue it, because it was just a matter of time before the whole key went. And obviously you can't play the piano if you've got a broken key. Sometimes if you have a very mushy sound when you play, it just seems like you're not getting a lot of power, if you take a look inside, you'll see that you've got something broken on the key so that there's not the force that you need there. Again, repairs can be something that are taken care of as the piano goes through its lifetime. I make repairs all the time when I'm tuning. What is the importance of repairing? It's not just because the key doesn't maybe work as well as you'd like it to. It's that you can't regulate a piano that isn't in good repair. If you're going to do a full regulation on a piano, say every 10 years or so, or every 12 or 15 even, depending on how sturdy your piano is, and there are lots of things that are just broken or worn out. The first thing that the technician has to do before he can actually regulate your piano for you is go and make the repairs that make it possible to regulate it. If you don't have something that's working right because it's broken, then you can't get beyond that. Also, you can't tune a piano very well if things are broken. And you can't tune a piano very well if they're out of regulation sometimes. Sometimes a hammer just doesn't hit the strings with enough force or with enough quality that you can actually hear the note well enough to tune it. So we have to sometimes regulate it, but very frequently we need to make repairs. Very important to try to keep up with repairs. Don't let things kind of ride on and feel that you're going to save money, because in the long run it's just going to be one big massive job if you don't take care of it. Especially if you have a piano that's of some quality, good name piano, and you're thinking of having it for some time, you really need to keep it repaired. Well, that's all I have to talk with you about today. My name is Richard Barber. My business is Barber Piano Service. You can contact me at 330-3780, 330-3780, or you can contact me by pressing the Contact tab on the home page of my web page, and that will take you to a little email setup, and you can just write in there and make a click, and you'll have my attention. I'm so thankful that you decided to excuse me, to pay a visit, and I hope that you'll get in touch with me sometime if you need help with your piano. God bless you.